Welcome back, everyone. I wanted to do a small video to talk about ISO 2022 and do kind of an introduction that I can share with friends and that you can share with yours to help them kind of get caught up about the ISO 2022 and crypto conversation, as well as talk about March 20th, which it's as I'm shooting this, it's March 19th of 2023, and how that might be a significant date, as well as another that we'll talk about later here that could be very significant in this conversation. So, if you're not familiar with me, I'm JTXRP. I hold many different cryptocurrencies. Some might call me a maxi because I say XRP in my name, but I actually hold over 40 different positions. Many of them, of course, in the ISO 2022 set, which we'll discuss here in a second. But again, I hold Bitcoin, Ether. I'm having a broad conversation about cryptocurrency. I hope you'll join me and share this out if you find it helpful. But we're also, again, we've got some stuff for the new people up front. We've got some stuff for the more experienced and people that are into crypto and ISO 2022 in the latter half when it comes to dates that might be more relative to a switch flip moment. Now, when I say a switch flip moment, those of you who are new, generally when we think that a switch will be flipped and we'll start to see a ton of green candles in these trading charts that mean the price is going to go sky high. Now, personally, I don't think that that's going to happen all at once. I do think we'll have some pretty key moments that you who are new may be able to help take advantage of. And again, this is not financial advice. I am simply someone with a process improvement background that is really interested in how these different tokens will be used. I see some opportunities coming that I do think will be very beneficial for anyone who sees these things early, but no one should go out and buy anything based on the things that I say. I think you should go and do your own research. And speaking of that, all of the different things and articles that I'm going to post will be in the description below. I know everyone in the crypto space says go do your own research, but I'm going to give you the value of mine ahead of time so you can go back and read the entire article or articles that I'm going to be showing you, and so that you can go do your own research and make an informed decision. And you should go do other things besides the things I'm suggesting, but you know, go do your own research. um, that being said, I do think that there are some amazing opportunities here. We'll get into it here in a second. Also, you should know up front that this is a three-part series. So I'm going to be covering ISO 2022 and what's going on March 20th tomorrow in this video. And then the next video I'm planning on shooting and delivering out is a timeline video about ISO 2022 because I found a breakdown of when things are going to happen and cutoff dates and so forth that I want to share, as that will probably be those little flip the switch moments that might see some different gains during those times. My speculation, of course. Um, but I'm going to share that with you in another video and we'll discuss that. But this is kind of a level setting video, as well as, a little speculation at the end when it comes to some of the dates. So stick around for those of you who know what's going on, or you might just want to skip towards the end if you want to just hear about those dates and what's going on. But if you're new, let's catch you up real quick. This is going to be an article. Again, all these will be in the description below, or maybe in the first pinned comment if I remember to do so. But again, ISO 2022 for beginners. While it may seem very complex, ISO 2022 is simply a more detailed type of financial messaging protocol that should allow the banks and financial institutions to prevent fraud and interoperate more easily. So, what does that mean? These banks are using these messages to send back and forth to each other to prevent fraud and to interoperate more. So, but the thing is, this messaging system hasn't been upgraded for quite some time. And we're going to talk about these different kinds of messages. And of course, we're here talking about it because it's related to crypto. And some of the normal financial system is adopting these different payment messaging systems. And so, in fact, if you want a full list, we can go up here and you can see the different cryptocurrencies that are a part of these messaging systems. Ripple, or not Ripple, XRP, XLM, XDC. These are the companies, by the way, that are to the left. The name of the token is to the right, and you can see and read about what they do. Obviously, XRP is one that I cover. It's supposed to be a bridge between different crypto and fiat worlds, as well as XLM. Very excited about those two. I own all of these, by the way. But again, XRP, XLM, XDC, iota, algo, hbar, Quant, and ADA. So again, go read up on these on your own. But these are the different cryptocurrencies that are going to be involved in this that banks have to be compliant by 2025. And this is a messaging system upgrade. And so we're going to get into some sticky terms here. You might hear the term Swift being thrown around. I'll get into that and defining that a little bit later. But right now, we're just going to talk about broadly what's going on. So, in addition to changing traditional banking and financial services industry, the migration from the traditional Swift messaging, referred to as MT messaging, to ISO 2022 could also dramatically impact the crypto industry, which is why we're talking about this, right? Specifically, coins that comply with the standard may be more rapidly adopted into the traditional financial system. So it talks about Bitcoin and Ethereum here, but you notice that these two are not on this list. Now, don't get me wrong, I own some Bitcoin, I own some Ethereum, I own other Ethereum tokens, but these are the ones that are ISO 2022 standards that are part of this messaging system. So when you hear the term that we're going to talk about here, MX, I want you to think of these different cryptos. Ooh, excuse me. I want you to think of these different cryptos down here. And whenever you hear the words MX, okay? So right now, all of Swift messages are classified as MT messages. MT stands for message type text. This is followed by a 3-digit number that denotes the message category, group, and type. MT messages are structured via ISO 15022 standards, which the ISO 20022 standard is intended to replace. So the old Swift standards are being replaced by these new ones. And so ISO 2022 compatible messages are referred to as MX. So the MX ISO 2022 was developed in early 2000. So this change has been going on for a while and has been planned for a while. Although I wonder if these were tied to it back then. Who knows? Someone else can go do that research. But what I'm trying to say is that these MX messages are essentially going to be incorporating these different cryptocurrencies. Now, it doesn't mean that everything will use them all the time, but each of these different cryptocurrencies has a specific use within the banking system that they might utilize these. And of course, if you have many banks using it, and we'll get into just how many in a second with Swift, where that might be possible, you can see where the adoption of these different cryptocurrencies could become much more rapid, and not because individuals are using them, but because the banks are using them and we don't necessarily see the back end of what's going on, or the general user won't, at least. So that's kind of a catch up between of what's going on with the ISO 2022 and how each of these different cryptos might be a very good opportunity uh, to get in on in the future. And that's why a lot of us, including myself, are very excited about the ISO 2022 standards. But again, so you're asking yourself, probably James, well, James, what is Swift? You kind of skipped over that a little bit. I'm about to get into that. And again, the scope of what's going on here. So next, we're going to look at the the Swift ISO 2022 payment systems being upgraded, the implications for banks and the crypto assets and digital currencies. Now, this is a more recent article in the 26th of February, 2023. Again, they'll both be in the description. This one was written, is it going to give it to me? Yep, June 1st of 2022. So this is a little bit older information. I believe it's still fairly accurate. And actually, this is the article I send to people now that I'm going to be sending them this video to get them to learn a little bit more first before they maybe go read the article themselves. So that's how I'm going to be using this video. I encourage you to do the same. Appreciate again for all of those who like, share, and subscribe, and who like my content. Very much appreciate all of you who keep coming around. Thank you so much. You have not gone unnoticed, and I really do appreciate all of you. That being said, what is Swift? So Swift is a global member-owned cooperative that functions as a huge messaging system. And we just talked about those messages previous. Swift is the one who runs those messages. Members, which are, sorry, members, which are banks and other financial institutions, use to securely send and receive information, primarily money transfer instructions. Swift, I don't care about this, what the Swift code is. More what now this is what we talk about the scope. Like how big is Swift? And when we talk about the standard being used, who is it going to be used by? Is it by a few people or a lot of people? Well, more than 11,000 financial institutions across more than 200 countries and territories use Swift, and the total transactions were around 150 trillion in 2022. So the current total market cap of the crypto industry is 1,184,531,447,256. Now, you can see if this is just $1 trillion, 150 trillion of potential payments and transactions utilizing these protocols is kind of a huge thing, 150 times possibly. And that's just in 2022. What could that be in, 2023 as that possibly even grows further? So now let's come back after we've understood the scope of things and how 150 trillion can possibly do amazing things to the 1 trillion market cap of where cryptocurrencies are at. Um, let's look at, again, for those who are maybe already know what's going on with Swift and the ISO 2022 standard. And this may be old news to some of you, but again, this is going to be part of, again, the 3-part video series that I have coming out, to where I think this could be more significant than we understand. And again, I'm going to be releasing this today, so tomorrow I guess we'll find out. But it says, after numerous delays, Swift will begin migration of the payment system onto a new ISO 2022 standard from March 20th, 2023. So again, it's starting this migration. This 11,000 financial institutions will start. They'll have access even more so to these different cryptocurrencies because Swift is incorporating it. Now, it's just a migration. It doesn't mean migration is complete. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to be using it instantly, but it does mean that the migration is happening and that eventually, the eventuality will come to pass where these things will be used a lot more. And, these different cryptocurrencies we talked about, whether it be XRP, XLM, XDC, all these different things will I believe we'll start to see some ramp up in their use and maybe even in their price. Who knows? We'll see what the story holds. But again, I'm going to get into another date in a second. But again, these different MX format that'll be used to make payments faster and less costly is what all of those different cryptocurrencies do to a degree, at least from my understanding. Since August 2022, the ISO 2022 messaging has been in use on an opt-in basis. But there will be a new phase from March 2023 where the plans for wider adoption. So again, we should see even wider adoption. I'm super excited about that part. Banks have been slow to make transition due to technical challenges, and of course, anyone who's been a part of software development or involved and around it, you understand that these things do take time. Here is also a kicker. From March, under the transition phase, financial institutions sending and receiving messages through Swift need to have updated their messaging interfaces so that they can at least receive MX payment messages or translate MX into MT. So let's think about this a second. Swift itself needs to begin the upgrade. Okay, but that means that their banks, the ones that they're sending to, they are required to at least receive these messages. That means a lot more tests can be done. That means that all these institutions will be starting to use this on a much more higher basis, at least for testing purposes, because of Swift. Now, maybe it's just one or two transactions each. Maybe it'll be hundreds because they're going to do some kind of heavy testing. Who knows? But the fact that all of these banks that we know that all these banks are ready, 11,000 of them possibly by this time, tomorrow, of March 20th, that's a huge date. I'm really interested to see what this will do to price, actually. Maybe it'll be nothing. Maybe it'll be a wah, 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 but who knows? Now let's look at the Bank of England. The system in 2024. The Bank of England, or the BOE, is responsible for CHAP's Real-Time Gross Settlement System, or RTGS. They will migrate to ISO2022 messaging by June 19th, 2023. The Bank of England is then planning to introduce new, modern, flexible, efficient RTGS core settlement engine in 2024. So the Bank of England is moving a little bit faster, and we should see their infrastructure set up by 2024. Again, we'll get into FedNow and everything in another video in terms of timeline, but England is moving. The Bank of England is moving much faster. So I wonder what we'll see there as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you understand a little bit more about ISO 2022 and some of the dates we're going to see coming up. Stay tuned for the next two videos when it comes to the overall timeline of ISO 2022, as well as the other video I'm going to be doing about all the things you need to know about FedNow, and especially their connections to Ripple. I do want to cover these things, but I do believe all of ISO 2022 will be affected. So again, I want to share these. If I shared this with you, it's because I want you to understand the scope of what's going on here. Cryptocurrency is dramatically changing the underlying way we're doing things. It's not just like the internet. The internet had a very visual, high level, every user could touch it kind of a feel to it. What's going on in the background with blockchain is the fact that yes, many people are developing on it. Many users are getting their hands on it if they're very much into the space. But what's going on in the background is that this is underwriting previous technology we've had for years. So when people compare this to the internet, it's much different, and in some respects, and in some ways it's very similar. But again, you as a user may never know some of these are happening because standards like the ISO 2022 are being created and are changing things to where you may never see. All you'll see is you get your payment. Instead of taking 3 days or a week or whatever, it gets to you in real time, and it settles in real time, which is different. But again, I hope you liked and enjoyed this video. I hope you'll smash that like button, share this video with a friend that's maybe new to the crypto conversation, and help them understand why these things are changing. I'm JTXRP, and I'm out.